The winning blueprint presents.
Welcome. It is Friday. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. And I asked for a great start to the week. Get off on the left foot with a win on Thursday. Was that too much to ask? Apparently, it was too much to ask from the Minnesota Vikings. I told you I didn't think it was going to be an intriguing or interesting game. Told you I thought it was going to be an entertaining game. But boy, was I wrong. I was on the wrong side of that game. Had the perfect analysis just for the wrong team. I said I thought it wasn't going to be a close game, and it wasn't. I thought one team was going to be able to run the football. Didn't expect it to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I thought one team was going to turn the football over. Didn't expect it to be the Minnesota Vikings. I thought one team was going to look dominant yesterday, but I thought that was going to be the Minnesota Vikings. So I just struck out all over the place, had the right analysis, wrong team, and I paid for it. So I get off to an 0-1 start this week, and the bad part about that is now I got to climb out of a hole. I've created a hole for myself. I've dug a hole. Now I got to get out of it. And I said that the Vikings are a team that you would probably never select for your soul survivor. This is why. Because you don't know what team is going to show up from week to week. I told you they didn't really play a good game last week. Luckily enough for them, all the things that they needed to have happen happened for them to win. They ran the football, which they didn't do last night enough, I don't think. I thought last night, too many times, they tried to come out and throw on first down with Christian Ponder. I didn't agree with that. Adrian Peterson was having a whale of a ball game, and I told you I thought he would. Thought he would have over 150 yards. They got down and they had to abandon the run for the most part. But I thought that he was going to be the reason they won this football game. If they won this game, it was going to be on the strength of Adrian Peterson's legs and shoulders. They decided to try to pass on first down a lot of times, and I didn't agree with it. And they were incomplete passes. He wasn't taking what was there. He was going for the deep shots. And so you find yourself in 2nd and 10. Now you want to hand it off to Adrian Peterson on second down. And Tampa Bay defense, they know that. The Buccaneers defense knows that after you get an incompletion on first down, now you're coming back with some AD. You think they don't know that? So they load up for the run, stop him for a 3-yard gain. Sometimes they were in the backfield for no gain or 1-yard loss. Now it's 3rd and long. And Christian Ponder was not good on 3rd down at all last night. This Vikings team as a whole wasn't good on 3rd down last night. And so you found yourself punting the football more times than you should have. And you found yourself turning the ball over. And that was the biggest difference in this game. Is the Buccaneers took care of the football. The Vikings didn't. And you can't have that in the National Football League. I've said it time and time again. And it really goes without saying at this point. You can't turn a football over in the National Football League. They turned it over. The Buccaneers turned that into 10 points early in this football game. And they got behind, and that proved to be the difference. It really did prove to be the difference in this game. I thought that Josh Freeman had a whale of a football game. Thought he really gave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a chance in this football game. He was very slow to start this game. I thought he came out and he was pressing a little bit. I think the atmosphere and the environment kind of got to him early. And he should. I'm pretty sure he's played in Minnesota before. And, you know, nationally televised game. Loud environment. I think it kind of rattled him a little bit earlier. But Doug Martin really settled things down for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, he was the catalyst for this victory. You want to know why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won this game? After, you know, the turnovers, after the execution that they had on defense, and after the explosion that they had on the offensive end. If you want to look at one reason, Aside from the turnovers, of course. I rank that as number one. You can't turn the football over. After the turnovers, you want to look at the reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won this game. Look no further than Doug Martin. He had a coming out party in his football game. I mean, he was extraordinary in his game. And I've been telling people for a while that Doug Martin was probably one of the best backs, if not the best back in the draft this year. And yeah, I was scoffed at. I got a buddy of mine that after last night's performance, he still does not like Doug Martin. How could you not? He's the best run blocking, or pass blocking, excuse me, running back that's come out in the draft in probably the last 5 years. He can catch the football. He's a heck of a running back. He's very strong upper and lower body. Can break tackles. You saw it last night. It was on display. He was breaking tackles left and right. He was tough to bring down. What fooled me, what was a surprise to me, was that burst. I didn't know he possessed that. Again, he's not the fastest guy in the world, and that's probably what turned a lot of people off on Doug Martin. But I saw a burst that I didn't know he possessed last night. I mean, the acceleration on that screen pass, that first 41-yard run, the biggest run of his career to this point, there was some explosion there. You know, he got outside and he ran away from some guys. Luckily enough, there was a guy in the secondary that had an angle on him that was able to catch him up to him and push him out of bounds. Or else he scores. He ran away from some guys on that play. But that screen pass was a thing of beauty. And I tell you what, all of Doug Martin's traits were on display on that very play. You got the ability to catch the ball, of course, first and foremost. He caught the football. You got the patience, and I think he is a very patient runner. That's another thing I love about Doug Martin. He doesn't rush. He's in no rush to get where he's going. He feels like, I'll get there because I have trust in my line, and they'll block, and I'll find the hole, and I'll wait till it opens up, and then I'll hit it when it comes open. So the patience was on display on that screen, because you need to have patience when running the screen. And then when the hole opened up, he accelerated. He showed the strength. He put that shoulder down, you know, went through two defenders, split right through them, stiff arm, another defender that propelled him forward. And then I saw the acceleration. He just ran by everybody else. Like they were standing still. I didn't know he possessed that trait. That was an impressive play by Doug Martin. And after that screen, I really started to think, wow, they might not be able to win this game. I never thought Minnesota was out of that game until Doug Martin ran for a touchdown on that screen. And I said, wow, Tampa Bay is not playing with Minnesota tonight. They're really trying to win on the road. Adrian Peterson got that long touchdown run, and I'm saying, okay, they're not out of it yet. You know, you need a stop, and then they got the stop. You know, Jared Allen got into it with Donald Penn, and that kind of got the crowd excited, and it kind of lit a fire temporarily under the Minnesota Vikings. I'm thinking, hey, maybe this is what they need to get back into this football game. But it wasn't meant to be. This Minnesota offense, they just couldn't get it done. I didn't like the play call. I really didn't like what they were doing. I thought how they got Percy Harvin the football early in the football game was good. I wanted to see them get Percy Harvin the ball more. You know, give me some more screen action. Get him the ball out of the backfield. I wanted them to utilize Percy Harvin more. Look, if you're the Vikings, you really don't have a lot of playmakers on offense. You got three main guys that can really get it done. One being Percy Harvin, two being Adrian Peterson, three being Kyle Rudolph. Utilize your weapons. I didn't think they used Kyle Rudolph at all last night. I was disappointed in the usage of Kyle Rudolph. I thought that they didn't even really make an attempt to get him the football. Then I thought they didn't run enough with Adrian Peterson on first down. And I thought that was one of the biggest keys to the game in terms of the lack of production for the Minnesota Vikings offense. You can't be in third and long and think you're going to succeed. And they found themselves in third and long a lot of times because they tried to pass on first down. It was unsuccessful. Then run on second down. And even if Adrian Peterson got 6 yards on second down, it was still 3rd and 4, and they weren't picking it up last night. They weren't doing. I saw too many deep balls to Jerome Simpson down the sideline that landed out of bounds. How many times are you going to throw a deep ball and throw it out of bounds? Yeah, Jerome Simpson wasn't giving him enough room to throw that deep ball. Well, throw it inbounds. Give him a chance to fight for it and make a play. I just thought that I saw them go down the field way too often when they should have been working the intermediate stuff a lot more. And it wasn't a recipe for success. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers outplayed the Minnesota Vikings, and they wanted it more. They played better, and they got it. And I said that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers record doesn't really tell the story. This team could easily be 5-2 right now, but they're still learning how to win. That was a big win for them on the road against the Minnesota Vikings team that hadn't lost all season at home. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers went into the Mall of America field and got a win. Kudos to them. And now they take their record to 3-4 on the season, do the Bucs. Meanwhile, the Minnesota Vikings dropped to 5-3. That's a devastating loss for them, because if they want to hang around in this division, they got to win games like this at home against a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You can't afford to lose games like this. And they weren't even close. I mean, Tampa Bay beat them soundly, 36-17 in this ballgame. It's not like they were hanging around, and they lost it at the end. They got handled pretty easily in this game. I mean, Tampa Bay made it look easy on offense at times. This was not a good performance by this Minnesota Vikings team. And now you just got to go back to the drawing board. You're still 5-3. You're still right there in the mix in that NFC North. So you just got to rebound and play better football if you're the Minnesota Vikings. But again, Tampa Bay Buccaneers get it done on Thursday Night Football, 36-17, taking their record to 3-4, dropping the Minnesota Vikings to 5-3. So just like that, I'm 0-1 in Week 8. Just like that, I've matched my loss total from a week ago, just like that. So now I just got to be that much better. And I told you, I hate losing on Thursday. It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. It gets you off to a bad start for the rest of the weekend. So I just have to block that out and hope that the rest of the games that I've picked go accordingly. And let's get into the slate of games for this weekend and see exactly who's matching up, what I think about these matchups, and who I think are going to be able to get it done this weekend in Week 8 of the National Football League. All right, I said this week in an earlier program that I had a lot of surprises this week. And, you know, a couple picks that probably many of you probably won't agree with. This is one of those weeks I feel like in order to be special, you have to be special. And what I mean by that is, in order for you to be successful this week and have a record that stands out, let's hope it doesn't stand out in a bad way, but in a good way, you have to go outside the box this week. I don't think this is one of those weeks. Last week I thought that was a chalk week. If you just went chalk, pick the teams that were supposed to win the football game, then you ended up pretty solid. I mean, if you just picked the teams that were supposed to win up and down that sheet last week, you probably won 11 games. There maybe were 1 or 2 games that could go either way and you had to make a tough decision. But for the most part, if you just picked the teams that were supposed to win, you did fine last week. This isn't that type of week in my estimation. I think this is one of those weeks you have to go outside the box a little bit. Every team that's supposed to win won't win this weekend. Every team that you think should win probably won't. So you have to be able to decipher which one of those teams it is, pick the right ones, and move on. And I think I'm trying to do that this week. So we start in Cleveland, where the Browns will be hosting the San Diego Chargers. Chargers are just coming off of a bye week, so they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this Cleveland Browns team. I don't care. I don't like the San Diego Chargers. And I told you, if they go on the road against a team that I think is playing good football, and I think the Cleveland Browns, despite their 1-6 mark, I think they're playing pretty solid football. They're getting better every single week. Brandon Weeden is getting better every single week. If they could get anything out of Trent Richardson, because you know he's been banged up, he had the rib injury, he shouldn't have played last week. Don't know if he's going to play this week or not. If he's anything like he was last week, he just needs to sit down. Let Montario Hardesty play and Chris Ogbonnaya, and let those guys run around out there. They'll be more successful and more productive than Trent Richardson was a week ago. If he's anything like he was a week ago, sit him down. But aside from that, I really love what Brandon Weeden is doing. I love the options he has to throw to. You look out wide, Greg Little is out there. If he can just focus in on catching the football, he'll be dangerous. He'll be an asset for the Browns and Brandon Weeden. You look at Travis Benjamin, another receiver out there that they drafted, a rookie selection out of Miami. he can get it done at the receiver position. They brought in another young guy that Whedon was familiar with in college. And Cooper, I believe his last name is Cooper. I've seen him the last couple of weeks. He looks impressive. I like him. He catches the football. He's a guy that moves the sticks. I think he's someone that Whedon trusts to go to, on 3rd and 6. He can get open and get 7 yards. Then you look at their big threat down the field, Josh Gordon, who dropped the go-ahead score last week, but he's a big play waiting to happen. And Whedon's not going to stop going to him deep because he dropped the football last week. They're going to make some beautiful music together. I think moving forward, that's going to be the receiver that he's going to rely on the most likely, because this guy can make big plays. And I think that was a supplemental draft pick well spent if you're the Cleveland Browns. Also at tight end, they have Jordan Cameron and they have Benjamin Watson. They got weapons. I like what the Browns are building out there on offense. Not to mention, I feel like the Browns have one of the best young offensive lines in all of football. I mean, Brandon Whedon, for the most part, is comfortable back there. Not a lot of times you see him under heavy duress throughout the course of a game. He gets time. I mean, he has guys, Mitchell Schwartz, the guy they drafted as their right tackle. He's come in and played great. We already know about Joe Thomas. You look at Alex Mack at the center position. Those are 3 main positions on your offensive line. Center and your 2 tackle positions, and they're set for years to come. I mean, I really like what the Browns are building on offense. San Diego coming off a bye. They lost the losers of 2 straight. They had controversy over their bye week. Just nothing's going right in San Diego right now. Phillip Rivers is playing some bad football, as he's done for the last season and a half. And I really don't know what direction this San Diego Chargers team is going in. I can tell you one thing. I don't trust them. I don't trust them to get it done. And again, this is a game that they should win. The Chargers should win this football game. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for the Browns. They're coming off of a bye week, so they're well rested. They should be able to get this one. But you know what? I don't trust them. And I think this Browns team is playing some really good football right now. All that amounts to the Browns 30, the San Diego Chargers 26. That's right. I'm picking the Cleveland Browns over the San Diego Chargers this week. You probably don't buy into that pick. I was watching the telecast last night on NFL Network, and they asked for a surprise pick from all the panelists. And Steve Mariucci, this was his pick. The Cleveland Browns over the... And the rest of the panel said, Mooch, don't do it. Coach, don't do it. Well, I agree with you, Coach. This is going to be a W for the Cleveland Browns. Mark my words. I feel confident about this pick. I don't like the San Diego Chargers. I don't like the direction they're going in. And I like where the Cleveland Browns are heading. And I think they're home. And I said, when they win, they're going to win at home. They haven't learned how to win on the road yet. But at home, they're a different bunch. And I think they can get it done against the San Diego Chargers, 30-26, taking their record to 2-6 on the season, dropping the San Diego Chargers down to 3-4 on the season. Moving right along, the Seattle Seahawks are traveling to Detroit to take on the Detroit Lions. This is an interesting matchup because the Seahawks, coming off of a loss, right now they're second in the division in the NFC West, and this is a really, really good defense. We've already talked at great lengths about this defense on past episodes. They can get it done on the defensive end. This is a team that has not performed that well on the road. They're 1-3 on the road. And so you don't really know what you're getting out of Russell Wilson and that offense on the road. This defense, you can pack them up and take them anywhere. They're going to perform. They're going to show out. So you can pack this defense up on a road trip, or you can unpack them at the house. It doesn't matter. This defense is going to perform. But this offense, however, kind of sketchy, especially on the road. The one thing you can rely on, though, and the old saying is you pack up your defense and your run game on the road. They can do that. Marshawn Lynch is someone that they can trust to run the football no matter the conditions. And they're inside in Detroit. I see Marshawn Lynch being able to run the football. This Detroit Lions defense has been playing steady football, though, and it haven't been the Detroit Lions defense of old that you could just gash in the air or on the ground and score points. they've actually been keeping games very manageable because this offense hasn't been scoring. The interesting thing about this game is that the Lions are home, and eventually they have to bust out of this funk, right? If they're going to do it, you think it would be at home again, right? Someone's going to get an explosion from Matthew Stafford and Megatron. Someone's going to get 2 or 3 touchdowns put on their head. Megatron with 189 yards receiving on 10 catches. Matthew Stafford goes 33 of 43 for 379 yards and 4 touchdowns. Someone's going to get that kind of performance out of the Lions. Is it this week against the Seattle Seahawks? This Seahawks defense is really good. I don't see them giving up those kind of numbers to the Detroit Lions. But it's coming. Someone's going to get that because this Lions offense is too good. I mean, they have 2 elite players, or at least 1 elite player and another borderline elite player in Matthew Stafford. Something's got to give. All I know is that the Seattle Seahawks, they do everything that you want a team to do that's going on the road trying to get a win. They play solid defense. They force turnovers. They run the football. And they don't ask a lot of their quarterback. Those are all recipes for success on the road. Meanwhile, the Detroit Lions can't seem to find a way to get in the end zone when they get in the red zone. This is the number 4 rated offense in the National Football League. Do you know what that means? Absolutely nothing when you're scoring points. All that means is that you're racking up plenty of yards. You're going from 20 to 20, but you can't get in the end zone. And if they don't get in the end zone against Seattle, they won't win the football game. And I don't have them getting it in the end zone against this stingy Seattle Seahawks defense. Seattle 19, the Detroit Lions 13, as their offensive woes to get in the end zone continue at home. Seattle gets it done on the road, 19-13, taking their record to 5-3 on the season, dropping the Detroit Lions to 2-5 on the season. They got to find a remedy for these ills that they have on the offensive end. If the Detroit Lions can't score points, they can't win football games. It's as simple as that. This isn't a defense that's built to stop teams from scoring 16, 19, 23, 26, 30 points. This is a defense that this year I've been impressed with because had the offense been performing at the level that they did last year or anything close to it, this team would probably be 6-1 right now because the defense has actually been keeping them in ball games. Now, maybe the dynamic would change if they had more points to work with. If they had more points to surrender because the offense was scoring, maybe this defense wouldn't be as good. But they don't have that leash anymore. They know we have to go out and stop teams and hold them to 17, 19, 20 points in a game because if we don't, we're going to get blown out because the offense isn't scoring points right now. But all in all, I see them dropping this one to the Seattle Seahawks, 19-13 at home. I just don't see them beating the Seattle Seahawks. I don't think they can score enough points against this good Seattle Seahawks defense. And I see them losing this game 19-13, dropping their record to 2-5 on the season, elevating the Seahawks to 5-3 on the season. This next matchup on the slate of games was my sole survivor pick of the week. This is a no-brainer. This is a no-doubter. I have no doubts in my mind how this one is going to go. This game pits the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Green Bay Packers. Packers are at home at Lambeau Field for the first time in 3 weeks, and they're just looking to get back in the comfy confine of Lambeau Field and destroy someone. And that someone is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're being offered up as a sacrificial lamb here. They don't have a shot in this ball game. It's not going to be close. They don't have their best player in Maurice Jones-Drew in this game. Not that it matters. They will probably have the services of Blaine Gabbert again. Does not matter whether it's Blaine Gabbert or Chad Henne. They're one and the same. Neither one of them make a big difference in the football game. This team is going to get annihilated against the Packers on Sunday. Packers have been playing great football of late. And really, it all starts with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we're talking 9 touchdowns, no interceptions, over 600 yards, close to 700 yards passing in just the last 2 weeks of football. I mean, he has been playing exceptionally well. And he's reminding people that, hey, I was the MVP last year in case you forgot. And there was a lot of guys, chirping and talking about the demise of the Packers. They're not playing good football. He's not a good leader, and he's not liked in the locker room. Whatever, okay? Aaron Rodgers is a hell of a football player. He gets it done on the field. I don't care whatever everyone else is talking about. Oh, he doesn't get along with the players in the locker room and he's not a great leader. Whatever. The man performs on Sundays. He gets it done. And I'm pretty sure a lot of that talk is not even true. And nonetheless, it doesn't matter. The Packers are playing hot football. Their defense is forcing turnovers. They're getting after opposing QBs. They're playing solid football. And really, they don't even need to do all of that. They just need the offense to show up and score points, and they'll put Jacksonville to rest. And I expect the defense to be able to pounce on this Jacksonville Jaguars offense as well. Jacksonville had an opportunity to get a win last week on the road against a Raiders team that spotted them 17 points. The score was 17-3 at one point in this game, and they couldn't close the show against the Raiders. So they have absolutely no shot going to Green Bay, to Lambeau, to try to beat the Packers. This one is a no-brainer. Packers 37, Jacksonville Jaguars 10. Jacksonville, after this game, will be 1-6 on the season. Meanwhile, the Green Bay Packers will elevate their record to 4-3, landing them over 500 for the first time this season at 4-3. And they're starting to climb back into this thing in the NFC North. The Bears must watch out because I told you, I don't trust the Minnesota Vikings to get it done. That's not where they are in their maturation process as a team yet. They're going to make some noise, but they're not going to get into the playoffs. And they're just holding that second spot warm for the Packers for the time being till the Packers decide to leapfrog them and then go after that number 1 spot, which right now is being held by the Chicago Bears in that division. The thing about the Vikings is they haven't gotten into the meat and potato of their schedule yet. They haven't played any divisional games with the exception of one against Detroit. They haven't played Chicago nor the Packers yet. So that's 4 games that they could potentially lose on the season if they're not careful. I think Green Bay is coming on, and they're coming on at the right time. They needed to turn it up, and they've turned it up. And this Jacksonville Jaguars team is not someone that's going to be able to stand in their way and stop them from getting another victory. Jaguars 10, Packers 37. Next up on the docket is the Miami Dolphins traveling to the New York Jets in what is going to be a very good football game because the first one should have been a Miami Dolphins win. This is family business, 2 teams that know each other, and I thought that the Dolphins outplayed the Jets the first time around. If not for Dan Carpenter having a rare off day where he missed 3 field goals, including the game winner in overtime, the Jets probably lose that football game. But instead, the Jets were able to escape by the skin of their teeth, and now they have to go and find a way to play against the Dolphins team that's coming off of a bye week, had 2 weeks to prepare for the Jets, and have gotten a little bit more healthy. Reggie Bush had a few nagging injuries. He's gotten an extra week to nurse his injuries and lick his wounds. And so this Miami Dolphins team is going to be dangerous. I like the way Ryan Tannehill is playing football of late. I think that this Dolphins team is going to be a dangerous out for the Jets, who of late themselves have been playing a lot better football. They lost a week ago to the Patriots, and in the NFL there are no moral victories. But if you take anything away from that loss, it says that the Jets are not dead, they're not buried. And when they don't turn it over, when they play sound football, they have a chance to win. They turned it over, so they lost. That's how it goes. They were conservative down the stretch when they should have been aggressive, trying to go for the win. Instead, they wanted to just, they were trying not to lose, and they lost. That's what happens when you're not aggressive and you don't trust your quarterback. They have to find a way to instill confidence in Mark Sanchez, and Mark Sanchez has to find a way to instill confidence in that coaching staff. It's reciprocal. They have to trust one another. And right now, I don't think either one of them trust each other. Sanchez doesn't trust the Jets, and the Jets don't trust Mark Sanchez. It was evident a week ago when they got the football deep in Patriots territory with a chance to really put a stranglehold on this football game. Instead, they went the conservative route, which was the don't turn it over Mark Sanchez route, and kicked a field goal and allowed Tom Brady to do the same and get it to overtime where they got another field goal. Patriots defense was able to rise to the occasion, get a stop. They win the football game. So now the Jets find themselves in a situation where they need to win this game at home. They can't afford to drop 2 straight. And the Dolphins are coming to town. And I thought that the Dolphins outplayed them in the first game. So this is going to be an interesting test for the Jets and the Dolphins. This is family business. Two teams that know each other well that are going to battle it out because right now this AFC East division is up for grabs. It's anyone's division. And I kind of say that tongue-in-cheek because I don't expect anyone other than the New England Patriots to win this division. But right now, with it constructed the way it is, everyone at 3-3, 3-4, or 4-3, we're talking about a game difference between every single team in this division. In some instances, a half a game. If the Dolphins win, they leapfrog to first place in the division. Of course, that pending a Patriots victory or loss. But again, they're right there in the thick of things with every other team in this division. So if the Dolphins can go get it done, Ryan Tannehill's been playing good football of late. Reggie Bush can run the football as he's done a few times this season and help them manage the game and not ask a lot of Ryan Tannehill. He doesn't turn it over. They play sound defense. They force a few turnovers from Mark Sanchez as they did in the first meeting. They could get this win on the road. But I don't see it happening. Ryan Tannehill is a rookie. I find it hard for rookies to go on the road and get it done. He's already done it once this season. So he's already shown, hey, I can get it done on the road. They beat Cincinnati in Cincinnati already this season, did the Dolphins. So Tannehill's not afraid to go out on the road and get it done, but I just don't see them going to New Jersey and getting a win at MetLife Stadium against this Jets football team. I just don't see them doing it. Jets 26, Dolphins 23 in a hard-fought football game between two teams that know each other well. This is going to be a very, very close, tightly contested ball game. Some family business that's going to come down to the wire, but ultimately I just see the Jets being the victor and getting a season sweep over the Miami Dolphins, dropping the Dolphins to 3-4 on the season, elevating the Jets back to 500 at 4-4 on the season. Next up on the slate of games on Sunday is the Carolina Panthers, who are traveling to Chicago to take on the Bears. And this game here is a game that I would love to deem the whiny bowl. You know, two whining quarterbacks, two moaning and groaning quarterbacks, but I'm not going to do that because I don't like to make fun of Cam Newton. I think his struggles right now are internally, and I think that mentally he's struggling with the fact that it's not as easy as it seemed a year ago. You know, this coaching staff is not doing a good job of highlighting his strengths, not doing a good job of getting these playmakers involved, and it's putting a lot of pressure, you know, and unnecessarily so, on Cam Newton. And I feel his pain because watching this team, it makes me sick to my stomach because they do the same thing every single week. If I know what's coming, what do you think opposing defenses know? And I'm just a lay fan watching the game. And I can tell you, oh yeah, this is going to be an out to Greg Olsen. This is going to be a read option play where he hands it off. This is going to be a quarterback draw. This is going to be a post or a slant to Steve Smith. I mean, everything is elementary in this offense, and they do it over and over and over again. And they don't switch it up. There's no diversity to this offense. They don't even put Cam under center. I mean, that is a travesty in itself. I mean, you're asking and you're setting Cam up for failure. You're asking for failure by just doing the same things over and over and over again. And you want to know why you're only able to score 13 points, 16 points, 19 points. You can't score and be explosive like you were a season ago. You're not fooling anyone anymore. Everything that you've done is on film, and they keep seeing the same stuff over and over again. Too many tendencies, too many things that look exactly the same from week to week. On the opposite side of the field is Jay Cutler, who, when things aren't going right, is a very whiny quarterback himself. But things have been going great for Jay Cutler of late, and so he hasn't had much to whine about the past few weeks. In fact, these Bears have been winning pretty soundly up until last week where they really dominated the football game, but it didn't show on the scoreboard. Up until last week, they really handled their last two opponents prior to that game against the Lions soundly. And they destroyed the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. They destroyed the Jacksonville Jaguars leading up to their bye. They came off the bye, and they really handled the Detroit Lions in that football game. But again, they weren't able to score any points, and that's a cause for concern if you're a Chicago Bears fan. You can look at all the positives. They're forcing turnovers. You know, Jay Cutler has not made the big critical mistake. But you got to score points in this league to beat teams that are good. And they've been able to get away and skate by just having the defense rise to the occasion and force turnovers and get touchdowns off those turnovers. Didn't happen a week ago. See, this is my theory with the Bears. They've gotten so comfortable with the defense forcing turnovers and scoring that the offense only feels like, hey, we just need to supply 13 points. You know, Lance Briggs and Charles Tillman, they'll supply the other 14 points. Our goal is to get to 27 every week, and we should win. And if we just do our part by getting a touchdown and 2 field goals, the defense will get the other 14, and we'll be fine. Well, that's 27, and we'll win. The offense has to score more points. They can't allow that to set into their way of thinking and allow them to become complacent and think that, hey, we just need to score 13 and the defense will take care of the rest. The defense isn't going to force turnovers and score touchdowns every single game. So get that out of your mind. Start scoring some points. You need to become explosive on offense. The first few weeks of the season, you look like a team that maybe could start to score some points and be explosive with some of the weapons you have. You've regressed, and now you just look like an ordinary offense. The Bears have to step up. In this game, they'll be able to get away with some more nonchalant offense and just have the Bears defense step up, and they'd be fine because this Cam Newton-led Carolina Panthers team right now is struggling on the offensive end. And I think it stems from the coaching staff first and foremost. They have to find a way to put a game plan together that utilizes his strengths, diversifies this offense, and picks apart weaknesses in the opposing defense. And I don't think they've been doing that from week to week. So all of that said, all of that translates to a Chicago Bears win 30-17 over the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers dropped to a miserable 1-6 on the season. Meanwhile, the Chicago Bears elevate their record to an NFC best 6-1 on the season. Moving right along, we find ourselves in probably what is going to end up being the matchup of the day. And I think this is going to be a whale of a football game. You have 2 teams coming off a bye, which is very rare. You rarely see the NFL allow 2 teams that are coming off a bye to face off against one another. But that's what we have in this Week 8 matchup between the Atlanta Falcons, who are traveling, the undefeated, let's not forget, the only undefeated team in the National Football League, the undefeated 6-0 Atlanta Falcons, traveling to the 3-3 Philadelphia Eagles, who are also coming off a bye. So this is going to be, I think, the best game of Sunday. I really do. I think this game is going to go down to the wire. I think this is going to be a fabulous football game, back and forth. 2 teams, again, coming off a bye. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for their opponent. They've had rest. And the Atlanta Falcons, I think they're vulnerable. They're vulnerable. They've narrowly escaped with victories in their last 2 football games. Probably could have easily lost 3 weeks ago to the Panthers. And so I think they're ready for a loss. I think someone is going to get them. What better team than the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that is probably gravely underachieving at this point, at home, off of a bye. Look, I'll tell you one of the most freakiest stats, and I don't know the exact number, but I'll tell you what, Andy Reid is a hard coach to beat coming off of a bye. Go look it up. I don't know what the exact number is, but it's something crazy like, 10-2, 11-1, 9-1. It's something crazy like that. Andy Reid is a guy that once he has a bye week, 2 weeks to prepare for you, he's tough to beat. And I think this Falcons team, they're a good football team. Let's not diminish the fact that they're 6-0. They found ways to win. See, I'm one of these people, and probably to a fault, that like to penalize a team for not looking impressive in winning football games. Man, forget all about that. And sometimes I have to remind myself, forget about all that nonsense. Win the game. I'm pretty sure you ask any team around the National Football League, whether they win by 31 or 1, they don't care as long as they get a W in the win column. And that's how I should be thinking. I want my 6-0 team to look dominant. I want them to be destroying, the less than subpar teams around the league, and I want them to find a way to beat the good teams around the league. I don't want them struggling with the likes of the Raiders. I don't want them struggling with the likes of the Panthers, even though that's family business. If you're better than them, leaps and bounds better than them, I want you to beat them to a pulp at home. These are 2 games at home that you feel like the Falcons should have dominated, but they didn't. And so you look at them and you say they're 6-0, but there's always a but when you're talking about the Falcons. I don't know if that but should exist. You've won 6 games, lost none. Your record says you're an undefeated team. You're a good football team. But I don't know. There's that but again. There's that but again. I don't know if I'm buying the Atlanta Falcons as a Super Bowl contending team. You know why? Because they haven't got it done in the postseason yet. Had they had 1 or 2 wins under their belt, had Matt Ryan had success in the playoffs before and ran into a roadblock like the Packers in, say, the divisional round of the playoffs and been knocked out the past 2 seasons in the divisional round, then maybe I'd give him a pass. But he's gotten to wild card weekend and looked terrible each time. He's gotten to a divisional round, but he didn't earn it. Okay, so they earned it in the regular season. They didn't earn it in the postseason, though. They didn't beat anyone. They got it virtue of bye, came off that bye, and was destroyed at home by the Packers. So I can't really sell them as a Super Bowl team, but I will tell you one thing. They are a dominant regular season team. And coming off of this bye, if they were playing anybody else, I don't care if they were on the road, if they were playing anyone else other than an Andy Reid coach football team, I'd probably go with them on this game. But this Andy Reid coach football team, off of byes, scary bunch. I tell you what, they do some amazing things on the course of a bye. I don't know what he does on a bye. They've done a lot of things, a lot of changes I don't necessarily agree with right now, but this is the Eagles team that I think at home against the Falcons, another upset game, one that you probably might not agree with. I have the Philadelphia Eagles defeating this Atlanta Falcons team 24-23. And another one of these nail biters that the Eagles have been in all season long. Another one of these 1-point victories for the Eagles. I think they get it done at home against this Matt Ryan-led Atlanta Falcons team. Matt Ryan has not been struggling of late, but he hasn't been as sharp. Maybe he comes back off of this bye a little bit better. But I don't think that their running game has been all that to write home about this season. And I don't think that the Eagles are going to allow them to run the football as they want to in this game. And if the Eagles can get after the quarterback, if they can get after Matt Ryan like the Raiders did, force him into some mistakes. You've seen what Matt Ryan will do under pressure. He threw 3 interceptions in that game. You know, and all of them coming in the first half. So if you can put pressure on Matt Ryan, you will get some dividends. It will yield turnovers for you. And I think this Eagles defense can do just that off of this bye week. And I think Michael Vick and that offense will settle down. Andy Reid will simplify the playbook for them for this week and this week only. They'll go back to being the team that throws it way more than they should and ignoring LaShawn McCoy. But for this week and this week only, LaShawn McCoy will get the football. Michael Vick will have a nice run-pass balance. They'll go play-action fake. They'll make all the right moves, and they'll find a way to get it done at home, 24-23, dropping the Atlanta Falcons to 6-1, their first loss of the season, tying them with the Chicago Bears for the best mark in the NFC. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Eagles will elevate their record to 4-3, putting them right in the mix in the NFC East division.